Lovely day out on the beach, the sun, the sea, the sand, the seagulls. What's not to like? And loads of photo opportunities too. So in this video, I'm going to show you a couple of alternative approaches to photographing a beach scene. Most beach photos have got the beach in the bottom half of the frame and the sea in the top. And that's because you're photographing the beach from the beach itself. So it's always going to be in the bottom. So why not try and position yourself somewhere different for a different approach? If there's a pier or a structure that goes out into the sea, get to the end of it and photograph looking back at the beach. That way you can get the sea at the bottom and the beach at the top. Or if you're really careful, you could do one of my favourite approaches, which is to get exactly halfway along until you are stood almost above the coastline itself, where the sea meets the beach and crashes onto those pebbles or the sand. The only other things to watch out for is to make sure that your horizon is nice and straight. So I'm using the rule of thirds grid to help me keep that straight and also position the horizon on that line. If you've got any tall buildings in the distance, be careful not to crop them. And if you've got something very prominent like I have here, there's a very tall, thin tower, I'm going to position it in the middle of the frame so it doesn't slope to the left or right sides due to the wide angle lens. An alternative approach to photographing a beach is to literally photograph the beach itself, whether it's a sandy beach or in this case a pebbly beach. Forget about the sea, forget about the sky, let's just get really close to the surface for some nice textures and a slightly abstract approach. So what I've done here is found an interesting looking stone, literally found it and positioned it by hand on this nice piece of textured wood for a contrast. Don't be afraid to rearrange this. And I'm getting really close to it so that I can make it the dominant subject on the frame. Focusing very close to that allows me to achieve a shallow depth of field. What that means is that the main subject is in focus, but then the focus kind of blurs as it gets further away, and it allows you to really concentrate on the subject at the front. To accentuate that effect, get as close as you can to the subject in the foreground and try and include as much of the background as far away as possible. That means choosing a low angle, slowly angling the camera up until you can see the sky, and then in this case angling it back down again just to crop it off so I get the maximum effect without the distraction. Then maybe position the camera left or right to find some nice leading lines, and then confirm your focus on the rock and take your picture. But generally speaking, if you can get close enough to your subject and focus on it, well, the background will become blurred as a result. Some phones have got an additional portrait mode that can achieve an even shallower depth of field effect. Sure, it's meant for taking pictures of people, but it can also work well in a macro environment like this. So if I switch to the portrait mode on this model, you can see that the background is even more blurred and it's giving me more of that effect that I want.